Good morning, my app are back. Here's the plan. We're starting very late this morning after about an hour and a half's discussion with the builder. Lots of changes, lots of discussions about changes, reinforcing once again, if you are building yourself, if you have any possibility of being on site, be there. So, things today include the swimming pool waterproofing. I've got a bit of a better idea what's going on there. Walls upstairs, perimeter wall, the septic tank we're going to talk about a little bit, and the renderings that we showed yesterday and your feedback on that we will talk about. All sorts of bits and pieces resulting from our conversation with the builder this morning. What could possibly go wrong? We'll start here at the swimming pool. First thing, the ridge that I commented on yesterday, the only reason it's there is simply as a guide to the next layer of the plastering that's going on. It has no other function other than a guide to that thickness. Simple, really. So today they will continue with this third level of plastering, and we'll see if it does end up being significantly smoother than what went before. So far, it's definitely not. The wall around the corner, the south-facing part of the wall around the corner, forms going on for the, what is that, 6 sections that are up to the intermediate tie beam. And here they are digging into this tree stump with gusto, or with spades. So I think that will be out today. There will need to be more work to get through this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one, and the one right over in the corner. Oh my word. Lots of cutting and hacking to be done here. Here at the dirty kitchen, lots of discussions this morning about basically the layout of this kitchen and the main kitchen. A lot to do with electrical outlets to try and make sure we have sufficient outlets above counter height to plug in whatever appliances we want to plug in. But there was also a small structural change, which was, if I step back a little, this wall previously closest to me was going to be a solid wall up to the ceiling. We're now going to include a window in this so that it looks out onto the patio. A long discussion this morning about the kitchen layout, which will end up having quite a lot of impacts on changes on cabinetry, on outlets. We in the end felt that we simply didn't have enough lower cabinets with countertops, so we've made some small adjustments. We've made quite a lot of adjustments to electrical outlets. We've included now some electrical outlets in the pantry so that we can have, for example, a wine fridge, and there will be a freezer in there and other things. But previously we had no outlets in there. So lots of discussions about changes here. Back in the living room, after all the discussions about keeping this staircase open and removing those walls that were previously put in, we're now thinking we may have it to some extent enclosed, but it will be decorative rather than structural. More to come on that in a while. The subject of my request for comments yesterday: what do we do with walls down here? Now, a couple of things I should point out from the renderings. First is, in the renderings we still have a door at the bottom of the stairs. I can't remember if yesterday if I said that door is no longer there. Secondly, in the renderings, there is a door on this dining room wall going out into the entrance hall. Not there, not going to be one there. So anyway, with that in mind, and with various other conversations, with your comments, with a conversation with my dad last night, we're going to go with plan C. More to come. Right, walls upstairs, JR, continuing with the wall between the corridor and the northwest corner bedroom. Nothing further yet on that wall. This one has gone up a little. And one change this morning to this wall. I think we're now going to have 2 windows in this wall, not just one. As long as we got space. I think we have. And this wall into the master bathroom and closet, also going up. And Romwell continuing to work on this wall, which is above the entrance hall, going into the kind of central eastern facing bedroom. And lastly for now, the external house wall facing south. Sorry, external wall facing south. The other Marvin is getting this one higher. He is here, he's just popped away for a moment. Your comments, for which we are extremely grateful, on what to do just here with walls, well, specifically on the dining room side. So there were a couple of themes that have come through. One is, where some of you live right now is very cold. Number 2, a few of you, I think maybe at least 4, said effectively, just do what your wife wants. Padded out by maybe, what does it matter what anybody else thinks? Well, that's true in both cases, almost. But I think other people's opinion do spark you to think of different things. The overwhelming majority of comments said, leave this side open. In other words, what we called yesterday, the A plan. Only, I think, 2 people said go with the glass wall. 3, if you count me, because that was previously my preference. And then I had a chat with my dad last night. And my dad said, plan C. And a couple of you said, plan C. So I think what we have now decided is plan C. Plan C will basically split this wall into 3 roughly equal parts. In the middle, there'll be a solid wall from floor to ceiling. On this side and on this side, we will have sliding glass doors. Those sliding glass doors, if we choose, will basically slide into this solid section and, as far as possible, disappear. So we kind of get the best of both worlds. We can seal off this room if there's a ton of noise going on elsewhere and we're trying to have a quiet, formal-ish dinner, or we can have it mostly open. It also, as I think at least 1 and maybe 2 people pointed out, from an aircon point of view, it is easier to cool a sealed area than it is an entirely open area. So there are several benefits to being able to seal off this room, but my beautiful Sour was very keen to have it as open as possible. She wanted, like many of you, plan A, completely open, but I think even she was convinced by my dad's arguments for having this split into those 3 sections, 1 solid, 2 glass that can be slid out the way. That does lead to one more consideration in the build. If this central section is built from concrete hollow block, to be honest, pretty much whatever it's built from, if we at some subsequent point run into problems with the glass sliding doors tracking inside this wall, it's not going to be easy to get to fix. So we're going to have to, well, the builder is going to have to think about what can he do that makes it less difficult. Whatever we do will be difficult, but less difficult to fix any problems with top or bottom rails for glass sliding doors. That's now the plan. 3 sections, plan C. Once again, a huge thank you to everybody that commented and gave an opinion. Ultimately, the 3 of us that said glass, well, we've kind of lost that argument, but it is aesthetics, it is appearance, it is subjective, and your thoughts, I'm going to say, were just as valid as all the others because they were my thoughts as well. One other slight factor that has persuaded me against glass is there were 2 comments, at least 2, one from my dad, one from Graham Cebu Philippines, actually from Mrs. Graham Cebu Philippines, who said that this glass wall made it look like, well, my dad said made it look like an office block. I think Mrs. Graham Cebu Philippines said a hospital. And you know, you were kind of right. It did look a little bit industrial. So that's the new plan. The septic tank. I think this is where something has, to my mind, gone wrong. A couple of people have said this should not include leaching. In other words, the wastewater should not be able to drain through this and out into the surrounding soil. Darren Wally said actually under building code now, that is now not allowed. They have, as you can see, now stuck a concrete lid on this, which leads to the second issue that I've got with this, which is that if there is any kind of problem with this septic tank, there is no manhole access. I'm not sure who would want to go down, but there you go. We're not going to change it. I'm not going to ask them to dig all this up. I'm not going to ask them to go back and waterproof it. We're just going to live with it. But I think those comments from Darren, who, by the way, produces a blog, and I will put a link into that because I think for anybody that's looking to build in the Philippines, it's got some great tips and advice broken down into various sections that I would strongly recommend you go and have a look at. So I will link to that. And then there was another comment, and I apologize, I'll look it up, basically saying that if this is not waterproofed, over time it will start to leak and leach water through it. Could be a long time, but the point is it will eventually, and this was not waterproofed before they sealed it in. So I'm putting that down as something that's gone wrong. I'm just going to live with it. If we did put a manhole cover into it, the engineer says that would then mean that we could get bad odors emanating from inside, and that's why they have not put a manhole cover in here. I'm not comfortable with it. I would have been comfortable if they had moved it further away from the house, had a manhole cover and waterproofed it, but they haven't. That's where we are, and I'm not going to change it now. This is, I believe, the smaller of the 2 septic tanks. Anyway, when the second one is done, we'll pay a bit more attention to that. The stairs. I'm going to throw up a picture in a moment that will give you a very, very rough idea of something that we're now thinking that will kind of just be decorative, but it will partially hide the big gap under the stairs, which previously I liked the idea of that. Now I'm slightly less convinced. We are slightly less convinced. So we'll show you the picture. If you've got any thoughts on that, it's not how it will look, it's just a very rough idea of the vertical decorative beams that we might try and include. Let me know what you think. The bell has gone. It is 4:30. It's what George from Casa TexPina calls yabba dabba doo time. If you haven't seen the Casa TexPina vlog of building their house, go check it out. It's very different because it's somebody who does know what they're talking about, explaining to you the intricacies of building a house. So take a look, Casa TexPina, if you haven't seen it already. Right, back here. They have not actually built any more wall here today, but I can see they did bring in the slightly heavier artillery. Manny with the diggerator has been helping out here. So they have managed to bypass this tree stump. They've carried on digging. I think there was another one. Yeah, there was another one here. That's out. This one, they've made some pretty solid progress. And then, just when you could think it couldn't get any worse, there's an old concrete post here. I have no idea what that's doing there. Still got 2 big ones to go. So, mixed news from here at the south wall. They have concreted in all of those 6 sections, I think it is. It might be 7, 6, with the intermediate tie beam, and they have laid the base tie beam in and got another column or possibly 2 in today. Progress, but it's still going to be hard going. The swimming pool crew have completed all of the next layer of plaster on both sides of the pool up to where I'm standing. So that's more than half. Oddly, there's a bit missing over there. I don't know what that's all about. And so far, there is absolutely no sign that it's any smoother than the layer that went before. So smoothing in some form is still to come. I'm standing at the top of the stairs and basically completed walls in many places now. Here above the entrance hall, all the way down this corridor on the right side, almost complete on the left side, complete over here on the back of the master bathroom and walk-in cabinet. Almost complete for this bedroom in this corner, although as mentioned earlier there may be a change to windows. Very nearly complete over here where that bedroom extends and has a bathroom. The wall into the far corner bedroom is getting higher. So there has been a ton done up here today. And I'm just going to go and have a quick look around and see if there's anything else I've missed. The answer was no. I think I managed to get all of the wall work that has been completed up there. Downstairs, a lot more junction boxes have gone in, a lot more chipping out to get those into the right positions. Don't think there was a lot else done downstairs. So that is the end of day 112. I blathered on so much this morning that I thought if I did an intermediate wander around, this video would be far too long. So that's why we skipped to the end of the day. I do want to say thank you. Huge thank you. I asked you yesterday for comments and likes. We got, so far on that video, a little bit more than 15% of likes, which I think for our channel might be a record. We definitely got a record number of comments. YouTube, when I last looked, was showing 100 comments. Now, that includes my replies, but that is by far the most comments we've ever had for a single video. And the day is not done yet. So a massive thank you to everybody for taking that time, making the effort to say something. We don't know how much difference it makes, but everything you read says that the YouTube algorithm likes comments and it likes likes. Maybe we'll see something different tomorrow. I don't know. But that is the day complete. Tomorrow, it'll be interesting to see if the swimming pool does get any kind of smoothing process going on. There will be more of those walls upstairs completed, and some that maybe haven't even started yet will get worked on. Not sure what else the day will bring. We did have something today that I'm marking as a fail, or at least something went wrong in terms of the septic tank. But that's it. It's been another very positive day. The house is really looking a little bit like a house now. Really starting to make out the shape. Good day. So, all done. See you tomorrow.